decided to bring you some content right out of Woosah Blue, one of my favorite places that I go to relax and unwind. And in times like these, we really need a lot of relaxation, unwinding. And so just, having some conversation today with a good friend of mine, and Inner Circle president and the founder of Empowering Imprints, Miss Natasha Netrick. Hi, Natasha.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good.
As well as can be expected.
Honestly, better than expected.
Yes.
And it's crazy because, a couple weeks ago, I left my, full-time 9-to-5 W-2 job.
Yeah. And
I am a lot less stressed doing that and focusing on my business in the middle of a pandemic.
Okay, let's talk about that. Cause I remember getting the call, this is it. I'm leaving.
I think I'm going to leave my job today.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. And then it was I did it. And I'm like, how do you feel? Okay. And so could you have how long had you been thinking about making a transition to full-time entrepreneurship first?
I had been thinking about it for quite some time, but it was always going to be a little more delayed out.
Yeah.
And I think when I realized that it was probably affecting my health more.
Yeah.
Like my mental health, my just thinking through stuff.
Yeah.
Causes weight on you.
Yeah.
And it's not that I love the organization that I work with. I hold them dear to my heart, some of the closest people to me, but I wasn't really doing life fulfilling work for me.
Yeah.
And this season, right? It was good for me in the season I was in before. The season had shifted and I didn't shift with it. And I was feeling the weight of that. And you were feeling I felt all the weight of that. And and it just kept compiling. I started doing different things okay, I'm the biggest proponent of going to counseling. I was doing that. I started working out. I started doing all these other things to try to make myself feel better. Yeah. And a lot of all that stuff was good, but the one major component was I'm not supposed to still be at this job. I knew that. And at one point I was like, I just need to do it. And so I said, I think I'm gonna do this. I went up to a couple people at my job. I said, I think I'm gonna quit today. I think I'm gonna put in my resignation. They were like, no. Yeah. And for me, the tension was between what is kind of wise and thinking through security, and then what am I doing to be faithful to my calling? Yeah.
I love that you say life fulfilling work. Yeah. Talk about that. How do one, especially, in the season, and I think that we have been in a season even before, the pandemic. I think that we have been in a season. A lot of people mentally and spiritually have been in a season saying, I really want to get to what that is.
Yeah. I think probably since purpose-driven life came out, people were talking about what does it mean to live on purpose and things like that. But it wasn't anything that was ever taught to me. I feel like the generations ahead of me, my grandmother got the work that she got and was grateful to be able to do that. Right. It wasn't the opportunity to be able to kind of live out your dream. Yeah. Wasn't, unless you're going to be a singer or there were areas where we saw that, but we didn't necessarily see that in industry. And for me, I just realized I could feel the weight, and especially for me being in ministry, there's a sense of calling to everything that I do. And I feel like there's a sense for that for a lot of people, but they're not told to listen to it.
I think the other good part is that you were able to course correct. I always say it's something about the millennial spirit. And I am a millennial in spirit in terms of it's kind of like this rebelness that I admire. That's I'm not doing that this way.
And let me say this, because I remember the internal conversation in part said, I can't do that because I'm the person who always, is the person everybody else depends on. I'm the person. So I normally have a lot of weight. And I said, wait, or I could just do something different. I made the intentional decision because I feel like it was probably easier for a lot of other millennials to be able to do that. And I realized I needed to make the intentional decisions, but there were other things that happened before then that allowed it. And so I rent out part of my house, right?
Yeah, right.
So it allows, so I still have income coming in. And so even though if I was coaching somebody else to go through it, I'd probably say, this is the way you want to, you want this much savings, you want this much of that. But there's enough passive income that I'm like, if I decreased my spending by this amount, I can refocus. And there were some things that I know coming up between tax season and other things that I could be able to make this transition work for me. So it wasn't like just completely jumping off the ledge, but it would definitely, timing wise, God, I feel like he was like, I'm just going to make you uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable till you leave. And then I left and I was like, oh, pandemic, no problem.
Yeah, this is nothing.
This is
I just
no big
made
deal.
A major life. You are, I mean, I remember before Empowering Imprint was even born, we were in sessions and really talking about it. I'm like, we got to name this baby, and then we got to get a logo. We got to start giving it identity. And that started to make it real. And I think to go ahead and start setting up a lot of those things while you were still working was really, really key.
Yeah. And Empowering Imprints didn't just happen overnight.
Right.
This has been in the years.
In the making.
Yeah. This has been, I've had contracts with companies and done consulting. And so it's not something that just happened. The company didn't happen overnight. The decision happened kind of swifter than I expected, but there were all these things that happened. So I've had income coming in from that. I've had income coming in from real estate. And so it allowed for the transition. But I would definitely not recommend, I just had an idea for something. Okay, let me jump. You better hear from the Lord very clearly on that, because that's not the way. So
here's the, so here's the thing. And I think that what's so good about this conversation is that you have people right now at home that are really in a situation where they're being forced to pivot. And I think that,
that's true.
And nothing that the stars and the moon may be lining up and you don't know that. And you don't want to miss this opportunity to get kind of pushed into where you need to be. And it might not look or feel good. Because even I've had people plan their whole escape only to, something happened. Not a pandemic, but like something happens that was not planned. So what is it? We plan, God laughs.
I mean, if that's not the case, we all figured that out this past week. And so I do think, I'm all for, I think you do need to plan. You need to you need to write out the vision. You need to do all these things, but you also need to be flexible enough to be able to read the signs, to be able to see what's going on in the world. And so if you notice that the things that you were doing aren't working for you, like financially, spiritually, emotionally, then you need to follow up on that. You need to figure out what that discernment means, whether that's switching jobs, whether that's, doing something in your family life differently. I think a lot of times as women, we're used to carrying everybody else's burden. So we're helping everybody else figure it out, but we don't always take the time to do the self-assessment for ourselves.
So how do you feel in this, like with Empowering Imprints, how can you help people right now at home that's like, because your model already was an online model.
So all the coaching that I do virtually. There are very few clients that I see in person, and which allows me to do clients in Atlanta or really anywhere else, right? But the biggest thing that I'm doing right now is something called the Empowerment Project, which I love because the biggest thing for me is I had all these friends around me who have been waiting to do whatever their next big thing was, whatever their life-giving project. That's what I like to refer to it as, a life-giving project. So for some people, it was like, I'm going to write this play. I've been meaning, and every time I see Tangi may be watching, every time I see Tangi's talking, I'm going to write this play. And since 3 years later, I'm going to write this book. So it's an opportunity, a 2-hour clarity session for people to come together, to get accountability, to be able to brainstorm and then to leave with a plan. And then you can do follow-up sessions. So tomorrow I'm having a follow-up session from another one that happened 3 months ago. Okay, great. Well, we planned, some stuff happened, a pandemic. That doesn't mean things stop. It may have shifted what's happening, but it doesn't mean things stop. You keep going. And so
what do you hope to accomplish in your business and in the Empowering Project? Like, what is it that you in your life-giving work, what do you want it to mean and stand for?
Well, for me, the biggest thing I've always seen myself as someone who not just kind of encourages, but equips people to be able to do their work. Yeah. And so I thrive when I see other people who are able to thrive. Yeah. And so I want to be able to push people and like, oh, I finally, like when I tell people, I have a friend and she started, oh my gosh, La Peach, she makes the best peach cobblers. Yeah. Okay,
it's actually do the peach cobbler.
It is some great. No, it is. I don't know how her mama taught her.
Yeah,
but it's a whole blessing in that peach cobbler. Yeah. And now when I'm like, I see her in phenomenal Facebook page, phenomenal orders that are going on, whole nother supplemental income that she has, and she's excited making it. Like she loves making it. Yeah. And so you see people's hearts, right? Yeah, like. Yeah. But when I see people living on purpose, like that for me is the true reward. Yeah. It's not just about the money, like the money will come.
Well, I think your true wealth is in finding your gift and talent and honoring it. And it's honored in a way that you use it to serve others.
Yes.
And I think when we don't value it, you know, a big lesson that I learned that I really want people as they're thinking about their purpose and, you know, doing their life-giving work is that he, our source, our maker, our creator, did not put all this great stuff in it for us not to value it and honor it. And sometimes we feel bad about charging people for what it is that we have learned or we do.
Absolutely.
And like you say, your true wealth, which is what I like to call it, because it's not all monetary. It's like your heart sings, your light shines brighter, like all of this through you being able to give and serve through your gifts. And so I think that's so awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yay! All right. So Natasha Netrick with Empowering Imprints. And what's the website so that people can like tune
EmpoweringImprints.com.
EmpoweringImprints.com. Thank you for chatting with me.
Yes, so excited to be here with our inner circle.
Hi, my name is Shyla Nieves Burney, and I am the founding and managing partner for Zane Venture Fund. We're a $10 million fund located here in Atlanta, and we are investing in tech-enabled companies that are created by diverse founders and diverse teams. At these times that we're in right now, it's a very critical moment for us to kind of pause and think about some of the ways we can be creative in our work. And so I really want to send a message out to entrepreneurs who are seeing this as an opportunity to kind of step back and maybe not focus on the work that they're engaged in. Instead, I would encourage you just to be creative. Think about what we're doing now in terms of isolating and how we can use technology to better sort of integrate that into our work. And so I just want to say, please stay focused, stay informed on the right information. Please don't get inundated with some of the information, false information that's being passed around out there. And remember, 2008, our situation was just as dire. And from that, so many companies were born, such as Airbnb and Uber. And so I wanted us to be optimistic that it's a moment in time, it will pass, and that we will see this as an opportunity to grow and scale our companies. Thank you so much.
Hi, it's Sonia Booker, and I am continuing my wealth building conversations with Shyla Burney. And this has just been such a great day of information, making sure that we're really getting information and inspiration and empowerment to you, as we had hoped to all be together today, but we're doing the next best thing. And we're here in one of my favorite places, Woosah Blue. So I get to woosah. What about you, Shyla? Are you kind of woosah?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. And all of us could woosah, you know, for a moment or two, just to give ourselves some time to breathe and understand what's happening in our society right now. I mean, it's hard. So this is like the perfect space to be able to do this.
To be able to do that. Mm-hmm, yeah. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So, okay. You know, the thing that I've been on my mind to talk to you about is, you know, this whole VC world, you know, venture capitalists and, you know, getting to know you and your story. You have like about 9 lives like me.
Right, exactly. No straight path.
Like, all these previous lives, you know, that you had, and the Bernie experience, which I thought was like so amazing. What made you want to, why did you transition into Zane Venture Fund, and what does that mean, and how do you engage in that?
Sure. So with the Bernie experience, of course, we were focused on empowering women and providing support to small businesses and nonprofits. And things were going well. I can't ask for a better start to, for my first foray into full-time entrepreneurship. So, but then when I was offered the opportunity to help source investors for a startup, and that was something new and not a path I had gone down before, I thought, wow, what an opportunity. Yeah. And so at that time, venture capital was hot. There were folks in the space that I can look and see myself, which was very good. I couldn't do it. I don't think for me, I'm always like, I'm a researcher by heart. I love looking up information and data. But I could not do this without having to see another Black woman who looked like me in that space. And of course, that was Arlen Hamilton at the time. And so did a lot of research around venture capital, saw that there was a lack of access to capital for founders of color, and so specifically Black folks. And so I decided, let me do some research some more and see what this is about. So I spent 2019 really traveling the country, learning more about venture capital, getting in rooms that we're typically not in. And there were a lot of times I was the only Black woman. And I did not feel like I wasn't supposed to be in that room. I felt like I was supposed to be there. And so just got educated and decided to launch my fund this past, we launched it in October. We had already had our first commit before I even launched the fund, just telling my story. And we had got a $500,000 commit from just the storytelling. And then I had my person that had been my mentor come on as my venture partner.
That is so
And so here we are, fast forward. We're now fundraising, got a solid team behind me of professionals who are experts in all kinds of areas and have been former entrepreneurs as well. So just saw a lack of access to capital and decided to do something. It's just as simple as that.
And so, well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for, because I watch a lot of what you do on LinkedIn. And I say that to myself, like, yes, she's in there. And the good part about, I think when we go in, we're supposed to bring information out. And that's what I think you do such a good job. It's not just for us to be in there like, we're in here.
Give that information back to the community.
Okay, and you do a really good job at that. And so as you look at, and it's really, I feel like the future has been female for a minute, so I think as we're going through kind of these trying times or, uncertain times, it seems like it should be more opportunity for women to be looking at as founders of color and looking at VC. How do you speak to that?
So I think there are a lot of women who are. It's unfortunate they're just not being invested in by VCs. And so women, I don't know the data points, so I won't say, but Black women have been starting businesses at record numbers for a few years now. And I think a report was out about Atlanta specifically and the number of businesses that have been created by Black women. And so what happens with VC, they want to look at companies that can scale fast, right? And so for a lot of businesses, they are smaller. They're not, some folks are not even looking to scale beyond what they already have, right? They have some customers, they have some revenue, that's good for them. VCs are looking typically for billion-dollar businesses. And so if you don't have a company that has a trajectory that looks like it may hit that billion-dollar mark, then VCs typically won't take that risk. Even though the risk is just as great as investing in another type company where you think they're going to make it. We don't get those opportunities.
I'm so glad you said that, though, because I don't think that a lot of times we approach our businesses, the American Express report just came out, and I talked about it on 102.5. I went to the radio station, and they were talking about how Black and white women are building businesses starting business at the same rate. But the Black businesses are doing like the numbers like $25,000 to $28,000, whereas the white businesses are like $142,000 a year. And when I looked at that, I said it's information and access. And because what happens and it's a scalability problem. And a lot of times we go into our businesses and start a business, and it's just kind of this mom and pop, kind of, well, we just want to get this off the ground, and there's already a plan written like, oh no, we're going to have this, it's going to be a franchise, and we're going to have 20 locations.
We can see ourselves in 100 cities across the country,
and so that is a good way to think about, like to make our businesses more, so we're sometimes we get lost in, we don't get the money,
Exactly.
But you're really helping to what they're looking for. They're not looking for,
and sometimes it's not okay to take VC capital. If you are at a certain point in your business, VCs are going to come in and want a lot of that business. So you got to think about how much ownership you have to give up when you're taking on capital from different sources. And so that's another thing to consider. But to your point, I do think we need to start thinking about scalability with our businesses. Look beyond the area that you're in, the city that you're in, and see your business, even though it's not there now, but creating sort of a roadmap to be a multinational company, not just an American company.
And everybody don't want to do that. And you need to be clear about what you're building, but clear kind of from the, the jump that this is just this, because that will impact where you look for capital and how you're thinking about capital.
Exactly. And looking for capital is a full-time job. You got to know who is. I did a call yesterday with women VCs, and all of us are fundraising right now, and we're looking to find out who should we be talking to in this climate. So for us, like if I'm a diverse fund, I'm an emerging fund manager, I need to be looking at funds that are going to specifically invest in my fund. Not every fund is looking for folks like me to invest in. So when folks are looking for, when it's time for folks to look for investors, make sure they're looking like they're interested in your particular industry.
How do you get with, learning from women like you? Like, so women that are out there now that, I think this is such a good time to, be thinking about that business you've always wanted to start. Or how are you going to take your business to the next level? Because I think in this climate, there's a lot of opportunity. Like I'm seeing like my business models going, whoa, this is like some more opportunity because of what's happening. I'm seeing it differently. So what do you think? What do you tell the woman at home on her sofa in her pajamas? And she's like, where do I get capital? And how do I start this conversation?
So this is how it typically works. And we, as a community, we may not have that. And that's a family and friends round, right? So you've got to be able to go tap into your, the folks who care about you and care about what you're doing and see if you can start raising some capital that way. That's usually the first step if you don't have your already built in money sort of reserved to start this company. The next step is angel investing, right? And so if you're looking for folks who, we have a lot of angel investor networks here, right? And so they look for people who are in the Southeast to fund. Go to those and see if your company fits the kind of company they're looking for. And so outside of SBA loans and anything, this is what I encourage companies to do, like focus on your customers and your revenue. Because that will generate interest from VCs. If they're seeing you're killing it in the game, they want to get on it.
It's no different than when we position ourselves for, our branding on Instagram or, and then tons of people have been discovered on, and it's about starting to do it. Just getting started. And then, that's really good.
The way we're sort of designed as a community now, it's so easy, right? With technology, you can get up and start a business just on your sofa with, maybe a few $100s, get it up and going. It is just that easy now because of technology.
I love it. I love it. I think women and just people in general are going to find this information very encouraging. So thank you so much for sharing. It's very timely. And how do we connect and follow you more?
So we're Zane Venture Fund on all platforms. You can reach us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or email us at team@zane.vc. And someone will be able to sort of reach out and help.
Awesome.
That's what we're here for.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you've been watching my talk with Shyla Burney, who I've just been fascinated with just jumping in, learning, doing something and saying, I see a problem, I want to help solve it. And that's what she's doing. So go connect with Zane Venture Fund, and you're watching Sonia Booker by way of Inner Circle. Stay tuned.
Good afternoon. My name is Natalie Reed, your local Georgia insurance agent. I know these are trying times for everyone, so I would ask that you continue to be safe, you be cautious, and continue to sanitize. For those of you with cash value life insurance policies, I would call my agent and ask if there is a way that I could take out a loan or withdrawal to help me, tide me over during these times. Also, I would ask your agent to give you a discount double check to see if you can save money on your current policies. If you have any questions for me or my team, please feel free to reach us at insurewithnat.com or give us a call at 678-567-0286. Have a blessed day and continue to be safe.
It's Sonia Booker, and I am back bringing you more information that I believe is inspiring, informative, and empowering, especially at a time like this. And I have been looking forward to sharing my guests that I'm about to introduce with you. And we're getting to have some girl chat right here in one of my favorite places, Woosah Blue, where we are woosahing, we're relaxing, we're really just kind of taking in everything that's going on, so that we can make sure that we're coming out bigger, better, bolder than ever before. And so it's my honor to welcome Natalie Reed.
Thank you, Sonia.
To the Woosah room. This is our Woosah Blue room. We come in, we sit back here sometime, we meditate, we just kind of take breaks and take it in. And so it's kind of pushing this relaxation mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. How what's your climate like in your industry?
Well, it's interesting right now. Of course, we're still doing business as usual. People are still calling us about, insurance policies. They might be home, doing their own discount double check and, figuring out.
I bet there's a lot of that going on.
To save money.
Right.
Yep. And so we're looking at ways for them to save money for our current customers. We're still bringing on new customers. Customers still, possibly have claims that we need to handle for them. And I also have customers, that's calling me about possibly taking money out of their life policies to help tide them over during this,
So we're going to back all the way up and talk about Natalie Reed, an insurance agent with State Farm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We just got right into it. The whole cash value, there's a big difference between term insurance, universal. I'm putting on my insurance hat from running an insurance agency for 5 years. Yeah. And so your language, I want to make sure that everyone understands the difference. And when you talk about cash value and people being able to take out loans during a time like that, break down what all that means for people who might have policies but might be at home thinking about, I need to get myself insured.
So you have, there's two main types of policies. The terms, which is basically for temporary needs.
Okay.
While my kids are little, while I have a mortgage, while I have a car loan, that takes care of those temporary needs. So if the breadwinner dies or the person who pays the bills die, they can still move forward and be able to, cover their obligations. Then you have the permanent policies, which I have both term and permanent, that has living benefits as well as death benefits, unlike the term policy.
Okay.
Term policy is when I die, my beneficiary will get XY dollars tax-free.
During a specified period of time, 10 years.
10, 20, 30 years.
Right. Okay.
Permanent policy is you can have a policy for the rest of your life that continues to grow cash value, and there's a death and a living benefit. So during times like these, or times like, hey, I want to renovate my house, or I want to buy myself a car, or I'm saving for my child's college, you can access that cash value without a credit check or income verification. So I do have people that's calling me to help get them over, this rough patch.
Right. Yeah.
From a business perspective and personally.
Yeah. Where they just need to take out some cash and
no questions
take care of
asked.
some things. That's really good.
No questions
asked.
And
so obviously there's qualifications for insurance policies. And so talk a little about, the kind of underwriting process that people can understand. I think it's a good time to assess maybe if you need to raise your policy limits in this climate, or if you have not, started in insurance. This is a great time to start thinking about that too.
So typically there's factors that determine,
insurability as well as pricing. So your age, obviously, the younger you are, the cheaper it's going to be. And then also your health. The healthier you are, the cheaper it's going to be. And if your health is a little adverse, it may be more expensive, or you may be uninsurable.
Right.
It just depends, right? I have folks that have $1 million policies that they're paying $60 a month for.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, it's a term policy, but the good thing about it is they've been underwritten for this $1 million, and they can start converting either all or part of that term into a permanent policy that's going to have cash value that right now, say you don't have that kind of policy, but one day something like this may happen again. It just may look differently.
Yes.
But it's an opportunity to prepare yourself for that next big event where you may need some cash.
That's really good. And you talked about like college education and college expenses. We hear a lot about, state plans and different things like that. Talk a little bit about, having kids and how you could use insurance to start planning for that.
So I have some grandkids or grandparents or parents that may want to get a policy on a child or grandchild or even great grandchild. It just depends, right? And not only are you guaranteeing that child's insurability, because they can one day grow up and become uninsurable due to whatever that could happen from a health perspective, but that cash value that's building in that policy, tax-free, could be used for college, right? Unlike other types of vehicles that people typically use to save for college, you do not have to put cash value life insurance on a FAFSA form.
Yeah.
So, which, in turn will still give them options for grants or scholarships. And, they can possibly use that cash value life insurance for purchasing a home, purchasing a car,
or one day funding a business.
And so I think so you save all this money and your kid says, I'm not going to college. And, the question is like, well, what's your plan?
Exactly.
And like, okay, well, here's this money that I had for college that you could use to go. That's really good. And so what do you think, like, I feel like with you are an overall financial wizard, it's not advisor, but just I believe that you really want to approach your business from a total standpoint.
Yeah.
So you also are able to do retirement planning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're able to offer a comprehensive retirement planning strategy. How do you go about that?
So I just do what we call a simple conversation.
A simple conversation. I like that.
It's simple because sometimes people are afraid to talk to advisors because it's overwhelming and it's scary and they don't feel like, their assets are not adequate, but obviously it's on a case by cases or customer by customer basis.
Yeah.
And we talk about what's your now, your later, and never money.
Now, later, and never money. Okay.
Yeah. We talk about the 3 different buckets of money.
Yeah.
Your taxable.
Yeah.
Taxable bucket, which is basically your W-2, your 1099 income, things are taxed now. We talk about your tax deferred, which is going to be your retirement, typically, that you may have at your job. And we talk about your tax-free money, which is going to be your Roth, your Roths accounts, as well as your, tax, like life insurance, permanent life policies, because that's another vehicle or way that you can put away money tax-free.
That's really good.
We talk about your dreams and your goals, and then based on whatever that answer is, then we can put a plan in place that's going to accommodate that and get you there. That's going to look different for everybody because it depends on age. It depends on your risk. Some people are a little bit more aggressive. Some are conservative or moderate. It just depends.
Okay. And so you sit down and, it's this whole idea of diversification.
Yeah.
Really making sure you kind of have, at certain points in your life, you're more aggressive, more, than other times when you're like, I want to be a little bit more conservative in this season. And so I think it's important to have all of these different things working and have people to understand, like,
diversification.
Yeah.
Diversification.
That's and so in the climate now, none of the cash value policies or any of those type of things are connected to the markets and to what's happening.
Yes.
Which is really good.
Yep. That is it's constant, it's stable, and you can tap into it. Nobody's calling me about, hey, it's gone down. It's going to continue to go up, and you have access to it. I can cut you a check from my office.
Yeah.
So, that's been, how should I say? It's been eye-opening for me, and I feel like a savior. I feel like I'm glad I told you to do this. I recommended this because now it's, become a tool to kind of help tide them through this season.
Right. And even if it wasn't a bad season, it could be like you said, people want to start a business. Like, hey, I want to, fund a business, and then to know that they can go and tap into that to start funding. You're not going to ask 50 million questions.
Nope.
Do you know what you're doing?
Nope.
You know, it's kind of like
business.
It's not my business. It's your cash value. It's your money.
You can do whatever you want.
So I have this kind of philosophy that would sit down at the kitchen table and talk to people about their life insurance, and I always felt like there are two life things that are going to happen. Yeah. You're going to retire. Yeah. You're going to slow down. You're not going to be always, whether mentally, physically, or whatever, doing what it is you're doing. And so that's going to happen. You're going to slow down. You're going to retire. Slow down. And then you're going to die. We don't know when, we don't know whatever, but those are two life events that we know are going to happen. And so those are two that you really kind of focus on. Yeah. Natalie, tell us, in this season for you, what are some of the things you're doing? What is your philosophy? And you think that maybe people that are watching could be maybe taking some of that advice too?
So I know I mentioned to you earlier that I was also a mortgage broker as well. And so for me, while I'm being quarantined or working from home, I'm using this time to look at my own finances, doing a possible refi at my, on my home,
because rates, are lower. Right.
So it should be cheaper to borrow. And then possibly looking at using equity, for additional investments in the future. Yes. Maybe additional home purchases. Also, while the market is in its down cycle, just, the old adage, buy low, sell high, I'm looking at, taking advantage of, the market in its down cycle, looking at, things, investments dealing with retail, hospitality, travel. So there will be an upside to this.
Right. Yeah. And so you want to take advantage and really take it all in during this time, you know. And another thing that you have that I call one of the basic truths of wealth building, which is living below your means. And that's something that you've been an advocate of and practice. Tell us just a little bit about that part of how that's impacted and works in your life.
That is something that I've been preaching for years. Like I said, living below your means, living within margin. I'll tell you what's going on right now. I'm not shaken at all from a personal or business perspective. I'm not even worried about, paying my employees. Yes, there are opportunities to get loans, but I'm not even looking forward to that. I don't need to, because I save for that rainy day. Little did I know that rainy day is going to be the virus. But I think now it's time for us to also look at our finances and cut out that unnecessary spending and really put into the habit of saving, because at some point something like this will happen again, and we want to make sure we're better prepared, not just to weather the storm or pay bills, but like you said, take advantage of future opportunities.
Because
purchasing real estate, investments, that kind of stuff. So
this is really good. This is really good. So how do we connect with you and continue these conversations?
Well, you can call me at my office. Me and my team are always ready to help you at 678-567-0286, or you can reach me at insurewithnat.com.
I love it. So there you have it, insurewithnat.com. It's been such great information, really helping to put in perspective all of the opportunities that really are there, just kind of waiting for us when we have the information. And I think that this is what, for me, I wanted to make sure that I was bringing you all these different ways of information, inspiration, empowerment to build your wealth, $1, one decision at a time. And I think all of my great guests have really helped us to do that. I know they've helped me a lot, and I'm sure they've helped you. Let us know how they've done that. Go to myinnercircle.org and join the conversation. Join Inner Circle. Until the next time, happy wealth building. Hi, it's Sonia Booker inviting you to join My Inner Circle. And for a limited time, when you join for only $49, you get a copy of my book, Self-Wealth for Women, which is an inspirational book and journal. If you're ready to live the life that you always dreamed about, and you're ready to build wealth for generations and generations to come, you want a copy of this book. Go to myinnercircle.org and sign up today to be a member. You get all sorts of back office resources and blogs and podcasts and just information to help you grow your wealth in a great community, I might add. Join today. It's $49 and you get a copy of the book, Self-Wealth for Women. Check it out.
I am Tanika Gray-Valbrun. I am a news producer at CNN, and I also have a nonprofit organization called the White Dress Project. So my wealth building strategies at this point are really to learn more and to get the knowledge and then invest and make the right decisions. So I'm excited to be here.
I met Sonia, I guess 3 years ago, and she helped guide me and help me to focus on building my health coaching business. It's a journey, but just through meeting her and then joining the Inner Circle group, it's made me keep on my journey, and if I get off track, I'm gonna go on track. Something's going on, I'm gonna be there. It's so inspiring to be around these group of women.
I drove over from Birmingham. I first saw Sonia on webinar. I do real estate and just have a background around real estate, but looking to get involved personally as an investor and just have the multiple streams of income.
I think I've been a member for about 2 years. My wealth building goal for this year is to begin to sell hair accessories online. Not necessarily hair. Specifically, it would be satin pillowcases. That's my goal for this year. Yes.
I have known Sonia for years. I've been going to the Inner Circle meeting years ago. And I am currently a member of Inner Circle.
Our goal is to train and equip young ladies to be positive global change agents. Our community, we train them to be leaders, but we want to train them to be change agents. So when they go into the culture, to shift it the way God has ordained it to be.
Hi, it's Sonia Booker, and I am so excited to be with you today. Really just wanting to share some information with you. Because we couldn't be together in person, I didn't want to waste this great time to just really share my heart, share some words, and even maybe hopefully some words of wisdom like we normally do in our Inner Circle meetings. And so those who are joining us for the first time, just want you to know that Inner Circle is a special place. And when we get together as women of faith and women that come together, we have an amazing time. And I hope to be able to reschedule that amazing time in the very near future. But today I want to talk to you about this whole idea of what's next, right? We've all found ourselves over the last few weeks saying what's next a lot. It all started this, coronavirus breakout in China. And it's like, okay, we were kind of going on about our lives. And then it was, the death toll of China. And we were like, what's next? What's next? What next was the idea that this became in Italy and quarantined the whole country. And we're going, what's next? And then it's on U.S. soil. And we found ourselves saying, what's next? What's next? The kids are out of school. Everything is stopped. Work as we know it has shut down, and we just find ourselves saying, what's next? But I want to challenge you today to ask that question to yourself. What's next for you? What's next for you in the season? So I couldn't really start the question of what's next without the what if that started to play in my mind. And I began to really think about this whole idea of what if this virus was a way to get our attention? What if this virus was a way to get us into a position? What if this virus was just what we needed to really just spur us into action, which a lot of people have gotten into? And so, what if this is all for a greater good? What if? And so as we pause and ask ourselves what's next for us, I want to be very mindful that nothing under the sun happens by accident. And I just want to, leave you with some things, maybe some words of wisdom. And I remember reading just recently about China and how China is such a country that is so full of smog that they haven't even seen the sky in years. Their footprint for emissions and the amount of pollution that they give off is just astounding. It's like 3-4 times as much as any other country, any other place, their footprint. And as they were talking about China, saying over the last few weeks of people not being able to work and manufacturing really having to slow down, it's been this whole idea of, wow, we can see the sky. We haven't been able to see the sky this clear in years. Imagine that. Imagine that this is your clear sky moment, that you're taking off kind of these blinders of just being able to go through life day after day and kind of this fog. And we never have time to just kind of stop. And we never have time to reflect. And we're always just going. And even at this time, it's been so hard for people to quarantine and to social distance themselves because we're just going about our lives and we're just so used to doing things. And so now as we're taking this pause, as we're taking this step back, is really hopefully focusing us to go inward and really start to map out, the things that are important for us and how we see our lives. A really good friend of mine has been impacted by the virus. And I remember talking to her and she said, it's been interesting because I have been wanting to transition out of my practice. And then when I came into contact with the virus, she said, in my mind, I felt like I should be packing up my office. But, she said, I just, went home and been doing the self-quarantine and doing very well, getting through the virus. But as I was talking to her over the last couple of weeks, she said, I'm not going back to my office. This virus was the push that I needed to really get me focusing on that's not what I want to do. And so I'm definitely not going to be in a situation where, life is short, things are happening, and to go back in a situation that I have mentally been trying to get out of. And so I'm looking at how this is impacting us financially, our thought process, our well-being. And it's different. And we're by nature a little bit more control, we just want to know what's going on. Just tell us how long, tell us, when this is over and we'll be good, But the whole idea of this uncertainty has really helped us to go in a very, very deep way. And if you haven't, I invite you to do that. Go in a very, very deep way into really looking at the idea that this is not an accident. The idea that we're not in control of it, but it is not out of control in the universe and in God's eyes. And so I want to, just kind of round out this conversation with giving you, 5 things that I feel that we should be focusing on during this time. And, they're almost like the 5 Ps. I didn't plan that at first. And this whole idea of purpose. So, just a very definition of purpose, meaning that something was created for a reason. And so whether that's the virus, whether that's the pandemic, whether that's us, we're created for a purpose. And so we need to make sure in the season that we're going inward and we're thinking about what is our purpose so that when we come out of this, we're better. We're better in what we're really designed to do. Sometimes it's interesting that we don't focus in that we are created by the Creator. And so we were created for a purpose, and it's something that He has put inside of us that only we can do. And in the season, I challenge you to really go deep and find out what that is and to find your purpose. And in doing that, I hear that this is a season of preparation. This is a time of preparation. So that as you start looking into your purpose, start preparing. And when you're preparing, you don't necessarily know what you're preparing for sometimes. Sometimes you do know. And sometimes you know that you've been wanting to, go to law school. So in your preparation, you could be looking up the LSAT, and you could be finding out what the criteria are. You could be finding out, how to take some self-examinations and how to do some study guides and what to do to prepare for this career that you always wanted to have. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe this is your season to write a book. So you start to look into preparation around, in this time, what are those steps? What should I be doing? Should I be journaling more? So you're getting prepared. And so don't miss the season of preparation. Okay, the third thing is patience. And patience is the hardest thing for us to have because we just want it. We want it now. We want it all figured out, and we want it yesterday. Not even today. We want it yesterday. And so in this season, we really want to be patient. And in that patience, we'll be able to be still and kind of let things happen around us and not be so anxious because we're patiently awaiting our what's next, right? So that patience could be, that understanding of tomorrow, 5 years from now, 2 months from now, just being in that patience, that virtue, and discovering the value of patience. All right, so now the fourth thing is position. And I can't help but think about getting into position. And, there's a story in the Bible that I love. There's so many stories, and it reminds me of the lady with the oil and her sons. And, he said, go and get all of the bottles. And, and she's like, all I have is, this oil. So get all the jars, but all she could see is, I just have this. But in getting in position, you're not really thinking about just what you have in your hand. And when you get in position, the oil will flow. Everything starts to happen by you finding and getting in the position so that you can serve and your gifts can serve. I think about myself a lot, and even doing this live stream today, I thought, I should probably cancel the inner circle, right? And then immediately I thought, no, because this information is so needed. So how can I get into position? How can I use my positioning to bring about change and information in a different way? And when I don't get in position, there are other people that are behind me that needs to get in position. And so we understand our positioning is so important. And a lot of times our positioning, other people are depending on it. Okay? All right, position. So the fifth thing is this idea of prominence. And not prominence from a standpoint of, oh, look at me, but from a prominence of a standpoint of you getting, in the spotlight, being in this light that draws people and resources and things that you need, a prominence that elevates you. And I believe that there is a high calling and a season that God needs to take some people and take us to a level of prominence to show us off and to show off our belief, to show off our values, to show off who we are in the kingdom. And so this level of prominence is very important. And that's the fifth thing. But I have a bonus one. I have a bonus P for you. And I can't help but to think about this whole idea of the promised land. Promised land. And when we think about that, it's definitely we relate it to this land of milk and honey, right? And what if we were already in the promised land and we didn't even recognize it? How tragic that would be. What if everything that we need, and we take the blinders off and we look at, where we are, and we're in our promised land, and we don't take advantage of it. We don't value it. This is a time where land is so important. It's so important for us to get back connected to the land, to our land. And in this time, this is not going to be the time to, stand idle and roll over. This is going to be a time that we're going to be able to do some amazing things as it relates to the land. So what are you thinking about? The promised land. Think about that and think about what that means to you. And what if you're already there? Wow. So I invite you to get more information about the Inner Circle at myinnercircle.org, and just to get involved in all of the conversations, all of the information that we have. I promise you that it will enlighten you, that you will learn so much about yourself, that you will learn more about your money, that you will learn more on how to grow your money, how to increase your streams of income, how to increase your net worth, and just how to be impacted by other women, even online, even with our community online. So go to myinnercircle.org. I thank you so much for listening to me.
I am rising.